Iraqi Dinar Today latest news brings you an update that could mark a fundamental turning point in the nation's financial trajectory. This is not a product of social media chatter, speculative blogs, or anonymous predictions. Rather, it is a clear, definitive statement delivered from the highest political office in Iraq. Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani recently addressed the nation, and his words have resonated throughout the global community of those monitoring Iraq's currency movements. For years, the question has remained, is Iraq truly committed to realigning its national currency to reflect its profound economic resources? Many observers are now treating this moment as the most substantial official confirmation of that commitment to date in 2025, signaling that a new phase of monetary policy has definitively begun. This pivotal announcement came during a national television broadcast, where the Prime Minister discussed the broader arc of Iraq's economic progress and the comprehensive financial reforms that have been underway. Shifting focus, he asserted that the Iraqi dinar's standing must ultimately be a genuine representation of the nation's intrinsic strength and stability. Critically, he then disclosed that the Central Bank of Iraq is actively preparing for a significant new phase specifically aimed at restoring the dinar's authentic value. This was a deliberate and calculated declaration, carefully chosen by the country's most senior leader, an action that carries far more weight than any past, vague political assurances or technical briefings. For more than a decade, high-ranking Iraqi officials generally avoided making direct and bold public remarks concerning the future value of the national currency, recognizing the sensitivity and potential market impact of such disclosures. However, in this live, state-controlled television appearance, Prime Minister Sudani chose to tackle the matter head-on, speaking with an undeniable tone of confidence and resolve. A public statement of this nature, especially when delivered through official state media, is always meticulously vetted and coordinated. When a sitting prime minister directly champions a clear path for currency reform, it serves as an unequivocal signal that a major, coordinated strategic shift is unfolding behind the scenes, capturing the intense attention of global economists, potential investors, and the Iraqi public. The core significance of the Prime Minister's recent statement lies in the evident alignment it represents between two historically divergent entities: the government leadership and the central bank. In previous years, these two powers sometimes operated with differing priorities, sometimes seemingly pursuing distinct strategies for Iraq's financial future, which created an obstacle to major monetary change. Now, Sudani's message emphasized a state of complete and unified coordination, specifically referencing the central bank's ongoing preparations and the joint, resolute goal of ensuring the dinar reflects Iraq's true value. When the political and monetary authorities are demonstrably united under a singular, coherent strategy, the likelihood of implementing dramatic and fundamental economic changes increases exponentially, suggesting that the reform blueprint is now actively moving from theory to execution. The Prime Minister's chosen terminology, restoring the dinar's true value, is particularly telling, indicating that this is far beyond superficial adjustments like reprinting notes or minor percentage shifts. His remarks suggest a fundamental belief at the top level of government that the dinar's current international exchange rate does not accurately reflect Iraq's real and potent economic fundamentals. To appreciate the magnitude of this assessment, one must consider Iraq's economic foundation, which includes some of the world's largest proven oil reserves, substantial foreign currency reserves, a growing volume of gold holdings, expanding international trade agreements, and one of the most promising growth trajectories in the entire Middle East region. Despite these vast underlying economic strengths, the national currency has long been viewed as undervalued in the global marketplace. This noticeable disparity between Iraq's profound wealth and its currency's performance is precisely what the Prime Minister's statement addresses, indicating a policy intent to correct this structural mismatch. This endeavor is viewed as more than a mere numerical exercise. It is intrinsically tied to Iraq's quest for full financial independence, national identity, and establishing long-term economic stability that aligns with its status as a major global energy producer. The goal is to calibrate the currency to its true economic power, ending the disconnect that has persisted for so long. To fully grasp the current policy momentum, it is essential to consider the technical groundwork that the Central Bank of Iraq has systematically laid over the past year, often out of the public spotlight. These reforms are not cosmetic. They represent a comprehensive modernization of the entire banking and financial infrastructure. Iraq has worked diligently to upgrade its banking systems to adhere to the strictest international standards, integrating its financial sector with global networks through updates in compliance, significant digital infrastructure investments, and the introduction of real-time settlement capabilities. Furthermore, the country has fortified its monitoring systems to combat corruption and enhance security across all banking operations, both public and private. Simultaneously, there has been a concerted push to reduce the domestic reliance on the US dollar, encouraging greater and more widespread use of the Iraqi dinar within local markets and transactions. This suite of strategic actions, combined with securing multiple international certifications, facilitates much closer integration with global financial partners. These are the classic foundational steps nations take when preparing the financial architecture for an imminent and major monetary policy shift. When these quiet, technical actions are now coupled with the Prime Minister's highly visible and public confirmation, the overall picture of a nation preparing for a new monetary era becomes remarkably clear and compelling. Reports emerging from within Iraq's vast commercial banking network further reinforce the official narrative of an approaching shift. Over recent weeks, internal sources and local bank employees have reported a quiet surge in preparatory activities. This includes updating internal exchange systems, recalibrating the software used to manage currency rates, and generally preparing bank branches across the country for the possibility of sudden, immediate changes. Additionally, anecdotal reports from citizens have noted that some bank locations have temporarily implemented limitations on large withdrawals of foreign currency, a liquidity management maneuver often deployed in anticipation of structural monetary reforms or major exchange rate adjustments. These internal banking developments are considered highly significant because banking institutions typically do not undertake such intensive and system-wide updates without clear and compelling direction from the central bank. The reported readiness instructions to private banks, urging them to be prepared for rate updates at extremely short notice, strongly suggest that the monetary authority is approaching the implementation stage where swift execution is paramount. All these quiet, ground-level preparations across the financial sector align perfectly with the Prime Minister's public confirmation, indicating a transition into an active monetary phase where banks must be ready to respond instantly once the final policy decision is enacted. The timing of Prime Minister Sudani's bold public announcement is also a crucial element of this unfolding story. He chose this moment for a reason that transcends mere political timing, linking it to Iraq's current, broader financial and legislative landscape. The nation's latest budget cycle has moved into its active implementation phase, and its core structure is designed to support much stronger financial performance and encourage significantly expanded use of the domestic currency. Furthermore, a series of new, strategically important trade agreements have been finalized, many of which stipulate that settlements must be conducted in the local currency, further reducing systemic dependence on the US dollar and other foreign exchange. In parallel, economic reforms across the private sector are promoting extensive digitization and reducing reliance on cash transactions, inherently making the dinar more stable and resistant to external manipulation. Critically, prominent international financial organizations have publicly acknowledged Iraq's recent progress toward financial modernization and greater independence. The confluence of these political, economic, and banking developments creates a potent and opportune environment for a major currency shift. Sudani's announcement was made precisely when all the necessary elements were demonstrably in position for a calculated and impactful policy action. Adding an emotional and symbolic layer to his message, Prime Minister Sudani took the time during the broadcast to speak directly to the Iraqi people. His words were not just technical economic jargon. He addressed themes of national dignity, financial strength, and collective pride. He powerfully emphasized that Iraqi citizens are deserving of a national currency that truly represents the nation's considerable power and long-term stability. For a population that has endured decades of political upheaval, economic sanctions, and the systemic impact of currency depreciation on everyday life, this was a potent and deeply symbolic promise. Sudani's message was a direct and empathetic acknowledgement of the frustrations felt by millions, offering a vision for a different, more stable financial future. Historically, leaders choose such a resolute tone only when they possess a high degree of confidence that a major, foundational change is imminent. No prime minister would risk the credibility of his office by making such profound public assurances without a concrete plan backed by the central bank. The assertive and unambiguous tone itself signals that both the government and the monetary authority are not only unified in their strategy, but are also fully confident in its impending, successful implementation. The unity of policy was further cemented shortly after the Prime Minister's broadcast, when the Central Bank of Iraq issued its own concise, public statement. Maintaining the characteristically cautious language of a central monetary authority, the bank's message perfectly mirrored Sudani's core points. The statement emphasized the institution's ongoing commitment to a wide-ranging program of reforms, all explicitly aimed at strengthening the national currency and bolstering the stability of Iraq's financial markets. This public acknowledgement from the central bank is considered a crucial step, as it avoided any denial or attempt to downplay the Prime Minister's announcement. Instead, it served as direct affirmation that currency reform is an active and central policy priority. This unprecedented coordination, where the political head of government and the monetary authority publicly articulate a shared, unified, and actionable currency strategy, is a dynamic that has largely been missing in previous years. With both key institutions now speaking with one voice and pointing toward the same strategic objective, analysts across the Middle East and globally are viewing this tandem announcement as the clearest and most forceful indicator yet that Iraq is rapidly approaching a moment of significant financial restructuring and change. The long-awaited alignment appears to be complete, accelerating the timeline for potential action. Beyond Iraq's borders, the Prime Minister's comments have immediately prompted widespread discussion among financial experts in neighboring Middle Eastern markets. Many analysts have logically concluded that Iraq would never publicly signal a currency reform of this magnitude, unless it had already secured a tacit understanding and support from its major international financial and trade partners. Iraq is no longer an isolated economy. It has forged vital trade agreements with powerful global players, including China, India, Turkey, and various nations within the Gulf Cooperation Council. The current regional trend shows a growing move towards stronger local currency-based trade systems, away from an overwhelming dependence on a single foreign currency. If Iraq successfully strengthens its dinar, this action will align perfectly with and bolster this broader regional shift toward monetary autonomy. A stronger Iraqi currency would, therefore, offer benefits that extend far beyond Iraq's own domestic economy, potentially assisting its trade partners and supporting a larger, more diversified global financial landscape. This makes Sudani's statement a matter of international strategic significance, as the global community fully recognizes Iraq's critical position as a major resource rich nation capable of influencing the regional currency dynamics and the structure of cross-border trade. Within the dedicated community of dinar observers, the reaction has been one of intense but cautious enthusiasm. Those who have diligently tracked Iraq's progress for many years immediately understood the profound gravity of Sudani's public confirmation. Expert analysts are labeling the announcement as the most decisive and non-vague confirmation yet that the central bank's long-term and often anticipated currency plan is now fully activated and advancing toward a conclusion. Previous official comments were often vague, indirect, or purely technical, but this address was pointed, deliberate, and spoke directly about restoring value. It clearly signaled readiness, momentum, and an unprecedented level of official confidence. For a community that has maintained a patient focus for years, this moment represents a significant psychological breakthrough. The core conversation has effectively transitioned from debating if a change might happen to anticipating when the final action will be revealed. This shift in official narrative alone is powerful enough to re-energize observers and the public worldwide. The uncertainty that characterized previous years is being replaced by an authoritative, top-level affirmation, suggesting that the long period of preparation is nearing its end and the country is poised to reveal its next financial chapter. Drawing on insider reports and established monetary policy analysis, the anticipated sequence of events from this point forward generally adheres to a structured and predictable pattern. The process begins with an intensive phase of internal rate testing conducted across the entire Iraqi banking network. This critical step ensures that every digital platform, ATM system, and bank ledger is fully prepared for an immediate value update. Following this, liquidity measures are often tightened, particularly concerning foreign currency holdings, to mitigate any sudden market imbalances or speculative disruptions during the transition. The third stage involves a deliberate increase in public communication, carefully preparing the general population for the structural changes to follow. Finally, when all systems are fully synchronized and the preparatory actions are complete, the central bank will typically release the new exchange rate. This revelation often occurs quietly at first, appearing on official electronic platforms before a more formal public acknowledgement. This structured approach is designed to ensure a smooth system adjustment with minimal risk. Given the public confirmation and the reported banking preparations, many believe Iraq is rapidly approaching the conclusion of this defined sequence of monetary action. Should these developments continue to advance along the confirmed path, the implications for the national and international financial landscape are substantial. It necessitates a posture of early preparation, urging all stakeholders to focus solely on official, verified sources of information. This is a period during which misinformation and rumors will inevitably proliferate, using false screenshots and manipulated reports to create widespread confusion. The absolute key during this dynamic period is to rely only on the official statements emanating from Iraq's recognized financial institutions and the government. It is important to remember that when the major changes are implemented, the banking systems will automatically update their exchange rates via the official channels. There will be no need for the public to chase speculation or rely on unverified sources. Furthermore, the final adjustment will likely occur suddenly and with minimal pre-announcement, a deliberate strategy to control market reaction. Therefore, maintaining composure, remaining thoroughly informed via official sources, and exercising patience are the most crucial actions to take during this high-stakes period of transition and implementation. Some economic analysts are of the opinion that Iraq's upcoming currency movement could potentially serve as a catalyst for wider regional and even global financial changes. This view is not based on a belief in a dramatic worldwide monetary reset, but rather on the fact that Iraq's currency reform is underpinned by tangible, real economic assets, massive oil wealth, substantial gold reserves, and expanding, stable international partnerships. When a large, resource-rich nation realigns its currency to authentically reflect its underlying economic power, it often prompts similar considerations and moves by other regional economies whose currencies may also be undervalued. This has the potential to create a measured ripple effect across the emerging markets. While no outcome is guaranteed until the policy is officially executed, the clear stability and genuine asset backing behind the Iraqi currency granted a unique and powerful position in global markets. This fundamental strength is what makes Iraq's forthcoming monetary phase so profoundly important, with ramifications that resonate not only domestically within Iraq, but also across the intricate and interconnected international financial system. The global impact of a strengthened Iraqi dinar cannot be underestimated. Prime Minister Sudani's definitive tone throughout his recent interview did not carry the cautious caveats of mere political posturing. Instead, he spoke with an unambiguous clarity, asserting that Iraq is genuinely entering a new financial era, and that the dinar will once again embody national strength and pride. Political leaders deploy this specific, assertive language only when a truly momentous change is already in the final stages of execution. It is a sign of preparation and readiness, not hesitation or conjecture. Given the highly coordinated unity now visible between the central bank and the government, it is clear that Iraq is moving deliberately toward the culmination of a financial strategy that has been in careful development for many years. The message conveyed by the nation's leadership reveals more about the immediate future than any single economic report, and in this instance, the tone is unmistakably one of decisive action. Going forward, all serious observers should monitor three primary indicators as a roadmap to the implementation timeline. First, watch for any new official statements or clarifications from the Central Bank of Iraq. Second, pay close attention to internal banking activity within Iraq, specifically any reports of foreign currency, withdrawal limits, or widespread system maintenance. Third, monitor the Prime Minister's future public appearances. If he reiterates or expands on his currency remarks, it confirms the government is continuing to prepare the population for the final shift. Beyond the intricate technical and economic calculus, this moment holds a deep and significant emotional resonance for the citizens of Iraq. For decades, Iraqis have had to navigate life under sanctions, political instability, and a currency that failed to reflect the true value of their country's immense potential and resources. Prime Minister Sudani's powerful remarks serve as a beacon of hope, the hope that Iraq's financial identity will finally align with its national strength and global standing. This is why his announcement resonated so intensely. It represents not just a change in policy, but a foundational shift in national pride. For many Iraqis, restoring the dinar's value is the ultimate symbol of opportunity, stability, and a brighter future, a moment of national economic rebirth. To summarize the current situation, Prime Minister Sudani has publicly confirmed that Iraq is embarking on a new, active phase with the explicit goal of restoring the national currency's real value. The central bank has provided an official, unified affirmation that essential reforms are both active and progressing. Across Iraq, banks are reportedly updating their internal systems, adjusting operational policies, and bracing for imminent changes. International financial partners are closely watching these developments, recognizing Iraq's undeniable, emerging financial strength. Crucially, major economic reforms, trade agreements, and the political will of government and the central bank have converged at a critical moment, indicating that Iraq is closer than it has ever been to implementing a foundational financial shift. The signs consistently point toward definitive action, transforming years of mere speculation into an actionable national strategy.